Her Majesty's Royal Chapel of the Mohawks in Brantford, Ontario, is the oldest surviving church building in Ontario and was the first Anglican church in Upper Canada. It is one of only 3 chapels royal in Canada. In 1981, the chapel was designated a National Historic Site of Canada. History. Constructed in 1785 by the British Crown, the chapel was given to the Mohawk people led by Joseph Brant for their support of the Crown during the American Revolution. They had migrated to Canada after Britain lost the 13 colonies and were awarded land for resettlement. Originally called St. Paul's, the church is commonly referred to as the Mohawk Chapel. It is part of the Anglican Diocese of Huron and has a chaplain appointed by the Bishop of Huron in consultation with the congregation. In 1850, the remains of Joseph Brant were moved from the original burial site in Burlington to a tomb at the Mohawk Chapel. His son, John Brant, was also interred in the tomb. Next to Brant's tomb is a boulder memorializing the writer Pauline Johnson, who was born in the nearby Six Nations Reserve and attended services in the chapel. In 1904, it was designated as a chapel royal by King Edward VII. Design. Architecturally, the chapel is a simple building with a rectangular floor plan. It is constructed of a wood frame faced with painted clapboards. It has been renovated several times. In November 2001, it suffered minor damage during 2 failed arson attempts. Originally, the entrance faced east to the canoe landing site on the bank of the Grand River, the transportation route. 8 stained glass windows, installed between 1959 and 1962, depict events from the history of the Six Nations of the Iroquois. Chaplains and associated clergy. 1786 to 1827, no resident clergy, the Reverend John Stewart of Kingston. The Reverend Dr. Addison of Niagara. The Reverend R. Leeming of Ancaster. The Reverend Mr. Hawk of England. 1827 to present, resident clergy, the Reverend Robert Lugger, 1827-1837. The Reverend Canon James Campbell Usher, 1837. The Reverend A. Nils, 1837-1884. Archbishop R. Ashton, 1885-1915. The Reverend C. M. Turnell, 1915-1917. The Reverend C. H. P. Owen, 1922-1929. The Reverend H. W. Snell, 1929-1945. The Reverend Canon W. J. Zimmerman, 1945-1981. The Reverend John Stables, 1982-1999. The Reverend Norman Casey, 2000-2003. The Reverend Larry Brown, 2004-2016. The Reverend Rosalind Elm, 2017 present. See also: Christchurch Royal Chapel, near Deseronto, Ontario. The Canadian Crown and Aboriginal Peoples. Notes and sources. External links. Media related to Mohawk Chapel at Wikimedia Commons. Mohawk Chapel website.